Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us tonight for the second session of the Project Management Series. The first session is already available on your library's YouTube channel. My name is Raluca Barbu, and I am the Adult Programming Specialist at the Algonquin Area Library. This program was made possible through the collaboration of 15 neighboring libraries. We're pleased to welcome back PMI-certified instructor Michael Spilg, who will explore how artificial intelligence can enhance your project management practice. The recording of this session will be available on the library's YouTube channel in a few days. This is a Zoom webinar, so your microphone and camera will be turned off as an attendee. You can enable closed captioning, and you can contact me or Michael with your questions through the Q&A feature or the chat. And Michael will gladly answer them at the end of the presentation. And I will now turn it over to Michael. Hello again.
Thank you, Raluca. And thanks everyone for joining my second presentation on an introduction to project management. Tonight I'll be talking about artificial intelligence for project managers. So my name is Michael Spilg. I have a background in international relations and mechanical engineering. I've worked a little over 5 years as an engineer, mainly in the medical device field, and I'll be starting a new role next week as an R&D project manager. But I joined PMI about a year ago and earned my PMP and ACP certificates, which are the Project Management Professional and Agile Certified Practitioner. Those are two certificates administered through PMI, which is the Project Management Institute. So they define themselves as the leading global nonprofit organization for project, program, and portfolio management. They offer certificates such as the PMP, the ACP, along with the RMP, which is Risk Management Professional, the CAPM, which is the Certified Associate Project Manager, and the freshly minted CPMA, or Certified Professional in Managing AI. So tonight I've prepared a short presentation about artificial intelligence and a few demos, kind of an introduction to the following: PMI Infinity, Notion, AWS Bedrock, Jira, Mondays, and Base 44. So I'll start off answering the question, what is artificial intelligence? And I actually asked this question to the PMI chatbot Infinity, and it gave me the following response: that artificial intelligence, or AI, is a branch of computer science concerned with the development of systems and machines capable of performing tasks that typically require human intelligence. These tasks can include learning, reasoning, problem solving, understanding language, and visual perception. AI leverages techniques like machine learning, natural language processing, and robotics to enable systems to mimic cognitive functions. So last year, the National Bureau of Economic Research released a study of their assessment of over 1 million conversations collected from ChatGPT and the users in May and June of 2024. So they were researching how people are using artificial intelligence, and they found that the majority of use cases are around practical guidance, writing, and seeking information. Some of those use cases included editing, obtaining how-to guidance, health and self-care advice, professional communication, translation, summarization, research, product comparisons, and procedural questions. They also saw a significant number of use cases in the categories of technical, multimedia, and self-expression. So the use cases around AI are pretty broad. But AI is dominating headlines recently because tech companies are spending big on artificial intelligence. Just last week, Meta, the parent company of Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp, announced that they plan to spend up to $135 billion in artificial intelligence in 2026. This is almost twice as much as what they spent in 2025, which was $72 billion. There were also several new investments in OpenAI, the parent company of ChatGPT, totaling over $100 billion. These investors included NVIDIA, Microsoft, Amazon, and the Japanese investment corporation SoftBank. So a lot of investors have been observing this circular financial pattern amongst the major players in the AI infrastructure. So for example, last September or October, it was observed that NVIDIA has expressed an interest to invest $100 billion in OpenAI, and OpenAI, being the parent company of ChatGPT, trains their large language models on cloud services such as Oracle and has contracts to spend up to $300 billion in cloud services. Oracle, managing the data centers for their cloud services, is contracted to purchase $40 billion in AI chips, which are manufactured by NVIDIA. So this is sort of the groundwork for a lot of the fear and speculation that there is an AI bubble. But anyways, back to the basics. It's really important to understand the following terms when working with AI. These include prompts, bias, and the human-centric model. So when dealing with prompts, these are instructions given to AI systems that define the task, context, and constraints for its response. Prompt quality matters because when prompts are clear, specific, and well-structured, they'll produce more accurate, relevant, and reliable AI outputs. Bias is related to how human-perceived relations or assumptions influence the cause and effect relation of data input and output. It's really important to ask the question, what data sources are included in the training data of the AI system? Because if you have bad input data, no matter how good your AI system is, you will have bad output data. Lastly, the human-centric model revolves around the idea of having a human in the loop. So this is when humans are actively reviewing, validating, or intervening in AI outputs, especially in high-risk or regulated decisions to maintain control and oversight. This is especially important because AI systems are known to hallucinate. And hallucinations are when an AI generates information that is incorrect, misleading, or fabricated, often presented confidently despite lacking factual grounding. So to dive further into the human-centric model, it might be helpful to visualize the DIKUW pyramid to see when the AI system is involved and when the human needs to become involved. So at the bottom of the pyramid is data. This is the basic facts or the input into the AI system. The AI system then takes this data and draws on relations to generate information. It will then produce knowledge, and the human will obtain this output and try to gain some sort of understanding from the knowledge output and hopefully be able to generate wisdom that it can apply to the task at hand. So another way to visualize the human-centric model is to see how data or raw unprocessed facts are put into an AI system. The AI system categorizes the data into information channels and then produces knowledge by having links or association amongst the information. The human becomes involved by understanding the knowledge and gaining insight or wisdom into how it can prioritize the understanding to take further action. So that's a visual representation of the human-centric model. But in the world of AI today, there are several different tools that are already readily available. They range from use cases around chatbots, image generation, writing generation, scheduling, meeting notes, video generation. There's so many it can feel overwhelming, especially because it seems like every week or every day, there's a new version or a new tool that is the latest and greatest thing. So when working with AI for your projects, it's really important to pick out which tools you want to explore with and kind of stick with them through completion. So instead of working on a proof of concept, which tends to be around becoming familiar with tools, focus on completing a pilot or an MVP. So an MVP is like a minimum viable product. It's a way to kind of have something tangible to produce, to see what the ultimate outcome is from the AI project. And the best approach when working on AI-related projects is to take an agile approach. So build out your pilot through small, frequent iterations. By having a pilot or an MVP, you'll be able to measure the return on investment with your AI. So some ways to gauge your ROI include your financial savings, your resource savings, and your time savings. So your financial savings might relate to how much money a project will generate or save relative to expenses. Resource savings might be measuring if it lowers the operating costs or manual processes involved. And time savings, does it reduce time or save the team time from performing repetitive tasks? Depending on your project, you might also evaluate other metrics such as the customer experience. Does it improve the customer experience? Is there an impact on the community or the environment that you would want to also evaluate when determining the ROI of AI projects? So I tend to take an optimistic view that AI will not replace project managers, but will enhance the performance of those who use it. So I was at a talk a couple weeks ago in Chicago, and a member of the audience made the comment that kind of illustrates how AI might be impacting the workforce by saying that the jobs of yesterday were assigned based on what people knew, but the jobs of tomorrow will be based on how people ask questions, or referencing how they are going to use AI. So when you use AI, prompt engineering is a really useful skill to have. And this is when you're going to take some sort of structure when you are building out your queries for a chatbot. So for example, you might take the following structure of assigning a role, an objective, a user request, a process, an output format, and a stop condition. This is when you ask the chatbot to assume a type of persona, produce a specific measurable goal with a specific input or instruction, to follow a structured workflow to obtain a desired result of the deliverable, and an optional explicit criteria to terminate the prompt so that the chatbot doesn't give you too much information. So for example, I might be planning a hypothetical trip to Ecuador. So I might create the following prompt on the right side of the slide. I'll ask the chatbot to assume the role as a semi-experienced hiker, having climbed to at least 2 significant summits, provide a checklist to climb Mount Chimborazo in Ecuador. The objective is to recommend at least 2 activities that should be done to prepare for acclimation before climbing, 3 tour groups or guides, and a checklist of the top 10 important gear or equipment to have for this hike. The user request is to provide a clear itinerary with ideal locations as applicable to go on this hike. Include any details that need to be considered for overnight, such as lodging, before the hike at the base or campsite. The process I'm asking the chatbot to take is review and provide a relative ranking of importance for each activity in the timeline. And I gave it more details for the output format, produced the information in a detailed sequential table, so the first activities are at the top. Assign a general topic of each activity, pre-hike, lodging, gear, meals, etc., listed in another column. Add activities to provide distinction as you see fit, but should include at least those 4. Include the relative importance of each activity in another column too. Assign the numerical sequence of each task in the first column. Provide no more than 2 sentences worth of information per activity. If more is needed, then break it down into separate activities. For a stop condition, I'm asking it to stop after the timeline lists 20 activities. So for my first demo, I am copying prompt and bring it over into ChatGPT. So I've copied the same prompt that I just read, a Google Sheet cheat sheet. So once it's over, I will paste it into the chatbot, and I have role, the objective, the user request, the process, the output format, and the stop condition listed. So I give this information to ChatGPT, and right away it assesses the prompt and starts to build out the timeline checklist. It includes the activity, the general topic, and the relative importance, along with putting it in a sequential order. Something you can do with ChatGPT is if you click on this double box icon, usually in the upper right corner of the table, you can copy all of this information and paste it in an external document. Further down, it also lists the top 10 essential gear that I for. But what I really like about ChatGPT is it usually will ask or make suggestions what it can do next. So here it's asking if I would like it to convert this information into an Excel file, add color coding by importance, map it against a climate, a calendar-based climb schedule. So I'm going to copy this over. And here I'm asking it to export the table into an Excel document, include the top 10 essential gear in another tab, assign color coding to signify the importance levels, and provide guides in another tab. So I'm putting it together. As you can see, I have the prompt before with my chat saved on the left toolbar, and it produces the Excel file. Can then download and edit outside of ChatGPT, and it also included the additional information in other tabs. So I think there might be a little bit of a lag just from sharing my screen. But here's the original one that I was working with. You can see it's added, it's asking again if I would like it to work on additional prompts. GPT is really interactive and really useful that way, but it's really important to kind of give as much information in your prompt at the beginning if you are wanting something specific as the output, because again, bad data in will generate bad data out. So the more details you can provide, the better your prompt query will be for the chatbot. So for my second demo, I'm Shine Infinity. So this is a project management chatbot that's available to all PMI members, and it's been trained on over 100,000 project management documents. So I actually used it a lot when I was studying for my PMP, because you can ask tailored questions like what is Scrum, and it will give you a response right away. I've also used it to work on different practice questions. So I would ask it to generate quizzes based on PMP-like questions and give explanations for questions that I wanted to know about. But it kind of runs similar to any other chatbot, but there are some additional features that are really helpful. So there are some generators that are tailored to help you create templates for different project deliverables. So for this demo, I'll go ahead and start a stakeholder management plan. And I'll go back to my Excel document and copy the prompt. So for this demo, I am starting a travel agency. This project is to create a travel agency with a team of 4 individuals, one for each of the following respective regions: Asia, Latin America, Africa, and Europe. Each stakeholder should be responsible for evaluating the main parts involved with planning a trip. I will be responsible for marketing the package deals that the team puts together. So as it's generating this response, it will compile it together in a document. And I've run this prompt before. I'll just open up here, but the stakeholder management plan, high level information, and then it will break it down into like a stakeholder register. So what are the different roles of the team? What are their influence level, interest levels? Any notes like maybe main objectives or main responsibilities, but it's a really good starting point. I can download this and edit it later if I wanted to add more information or kind of customize it for my so that is PMI. There's also other prompts that are kind of custom made that you can add to You can sort by different categories like agile, AI, business analysis, governance, risk management. You can make a requirements traceability matrix, a daily stand-up agenda. There's a lot of different tools that you can explore. So, so
Michael, I think it would be best if you
I will
wait until the page loads and then say what you want to say, because
showcase
while you are like switching between pages, we can't hear you.
AI, so you can integrate. But the homepage is really similar to the interface that you made. Raluca, can you hear me okay?
I can now, but the thing is that when you switch between pages or you wait for ChatGPT to upload or whatever, we can't hear you. It's like really like broken. So maybe wait until the page is um, you know,
Mm-hmm.
it's done
Loaded.
its search, it's loaded, and then you say what you have to say, because otherwise we just get like bits and pieces of what you're saying. Let's
Okay,
try
no,
it like this. Okay.
that's good to know. Yeah, I'll just start over with this one. So Notion AI is similar to ChatGPT and PMI Infinity in that it has a chatbot interface, but you can integrate it with your other business applications. So you can sync it to Slack or Google Drive, Teams, or Microsoft SharePoint. It also makes suggestions for different pages that you might create. So down here, it's asking if I would like to create a task. I started this page, and right now it's just in a list format without any tasks, but it kind of shows template. So you can add different properties, or you can change the layout to be more like a Kanban board. If you wanted to add other properties, you add another column to link different files or URLs. Another feature is Another feature in Notion is that it'll have your meetings. So if you have everybody's consent, you can record your meetings, and Notion will generate meeting minutes automatically and then send those out to your team or anybody that was on your call. So for this demo, I am going to upload an image of the internal hardware of a mobile phone. And I'm going to ask Notion to identify 50 significant components to build a BOM or a bill of materials, list the approximate price of each component and a potential source to purchase the component. I'm going to attach the image to my prompt, and then I'm going to let it run. So now it showed its process or analysis and has put together a table of 15 different components along loss and potential. So if I wanted to share this information with others on my team, I can create a new page with this table and title it as mobile HW for mobile hardware. So as it works on that, it's going to copy some information to the task tracker, another file that I had already set up. And as news with the rest of my team by sharing it. So if I go back to the top, I can share or publish it. And it sort of acts like a wiki page in my business or organization. So that is Notion. Now I will show it's available on AWS. AWS is a cloud provider. So the cloud basically has moved all of the IT hardware to be available remotely. So there are these data centers that have hundreds and thousands of servers and racks that store all of the data for different online applications that are built over the cloud. But one of the services that AWS offers is called Bedrock. And Bedrock allows developers to integrate different large language models into their cloud-based applications. One feature that they offer is this playground, and it's sort of like a sandbox. So you can kind of observe how different language models answer different prompts. So after clicking the select model, I might select a DeepSeek language model and change the temperature to 0.8. So the temperature is the definition for how random the output of the chatbot will be. So if it is set to 0, if the chatbot is asked the question, then it will produce the same answer every time it is asked a specific question. Whereas if it is set to 1, that is like the maximum randomness that you can allow the chatbot to produce when it generates its answers. So for this example, we'll go towards the more random side and assign it to be a value of 0.8. Compare different chatbot language models. So I'm going to select Meta, which is the parent company of Facebook, and choose one of their Llama large language models. So I'm going to also assign the temperature value to be 0.8. So I'm going to go back to my prompt list. So I'm going to go back to my prompt list and select this prompt I had prepared. And enter it into the chatbot. So my prompt is, what are the best sources to learn more about artificial intelligence for a non-technical person? Provide a list of books, articles, podcasts, and online videos that would help someone learn from a basic level to an intermediate level. The output should be in the format placing the best source material at the top of the list. Include type of material in the description. Description shouldn't be longer than 3 sentences. Include no more than 10 sources. So if I click run, DeepSeek and Llama prompt, and it looks like Llama finished first. So it provided 10 sources and has identified a book as the first source, an online course for the second, and a podcast for the third. It looks like DeepSeek provides some analysis or reasoning before it shows its answer, and it provided, it looks like, the same online course for its first pick, a different book, and another book for its top three. And to illustrate the concept of randomness or temperature, if I were to run the prompt again, both DeepSeek and Llama will produce different answers. So if we focus on the top three for DeepSeek, the online course, the book The Human Compatible AI and the Problem of Control, and AI Superpowers. If I were to run, we're going to see a different list produced by both AI models. So not only are they different from each other, their responses will be different than the first one that they produced. Oh, it looks like the first three are the same for DeepSeek. I am curious now what the fourth and the fifth might be. So the fourth was a YouTube series, and the fifth was a podcast. And so it looks like maybe DeepSeek has less variety in its recommendation. But let's see what Llama did. So it offered a book called Superintelligence, Paths, Dangers, and Strategies for its first pick. And the second time around, it demoted that to be the second pick, and it bumped up the online course for the first pick. It also had, I noticed, a book by IBM, or a video by IBM for the fourth pick, and a book, Life 3.0, for the fifth. So if we look, it looks like Life 3.0 was promoted to number 4, and it has a different one. It doesn't have the video listed in the top. It looks like the item video is now listed number 6. So that's due to the temperature being set to the higher end of 0.8, 1 being the maximum value to assign for maximum randomness in the chatbot's answers. So that's Amazon Bedrock on AWS. So for the demo, I will showcase the project manager Jira, which allows you to integrate your workflow with your team so that you are all up to date in terms of tasks in progress and completed activities. So in this example, I have several tasks. You can also check your list as a Kanban board. So I have the different categories as ideas for ideation, to do process, interview, and done. So as you move along, you can move the task or the cards into the respective categories to create a Jira ticket. Or you click on blue button at the top, and you can assign it to your workspace. You can designate what kind of work related feature you have. If it's a epic, feature, task, story, or bug, you can add additional types. You can assign status, provide a summary, a description. You can assign it to a member of your assess the priority level, add a due date, fill out whatever properties you keep track of those work items. You can also expand to have tasks. So maybe in this example, I have the task to update an e-blast or like an email that I send out to a large group. Maybe within that activity, I have a team that has different activities that need to be done before I can send out that e-blast. And that includes adding links and QR codes to the home website, updating email lists with new members, and sending out updated descriptions of events to marketing. So I could then assign those activities to members of my team, and they would be updated within the Jira portal. So another project. So I have experience with Monday, kept track of our work activity, broken out into different sprints. In the project's workspace, you can build out different trackers and to Jira assign who's going to own those tasks, assign the priority or other different properties that you would want to keep track of. It also has an option to view those tasks as user story cards. So based on your visual preferences or the best way to communicate with your team, there are a lot of different widgets that you get to kind of better visualize different activities for keeping track of your project's progress. Mondays also have you can kind of look at a high level overview of all different tasks that are in progress, stuck, how many are assigned to different people. So maybe if you're working with different development teams on different parts of the project, so in this example, maybe there's a software development team and on the dashboard you're to more quickly how many items are at a low, medium, and high priority, and if there's any critical items that need immediate attention. So there's a lot of visuals that you can add to your boards to communicate that status at a high level with the rest of your team. So last final demo is basically is a Node app to be able to build an app. Sport basically just takes your prompt and does all the coding for you based on the query that you're asking for. So some of the apps that others have built include like a task management chart. It looks like somebody did mondays.com and made a tuesday.com. You can make different dashboards to track spending or notification. When I had my free trial, I made this, which was a quiz related certificate. And all I did was get to generate app. But I asked it to answer questions similar to the AWS exam with different levels of difficulty and to provide a fourth option for lab-like scenario. And it did exactly that. I guess the drawback with base 44 is that you're only given like 25 credits through the free trial. But I think and just see how impactful and advanced AI is, that it's able to just basic prompt of sentences and generate an app from scratch. And you can also go back and give feedback if you want to customize it or make the app a little different. With that, I think it's really important to keep in mind, and we're all trying to still figure out the use cases and impact of artificial intelligence. So working on AI to if you're interested to please feel free to read. If you're interested in the PMI Chicagoland, we have study groups going on for the PMP and CAPM. We also have a meeting next week that is remote. So feel free to check out the Project Management Institute if you're interested. And thank you again. Raluca, I think I can answer some questions if there are
Yeah,
any,
we
which
have
I
some
may.
questions over here. I have to say, every time you switch to another website, we can really hear you. So we're gonna have to think of a way to maybe send some screenshots along with the presentation. So I don't know. We're gonna think about it. So everybody, gets the big picture of what you just showed. We have some questions. Patricia is asking, is PMI Infinity only available to PMI members? If so, what might be a good alternative?
Yeah. So PMI Infinity is only available to members that I know of. I don't think there's a subscription available, but there is another PMI website called Study Hall, which is focused on the different certificates that PMI offers. For different rates, they provide practice material, practice tests, quizzes, and additional lectures tailored to the different certificates. So if you're studying for a PMI exam, I would recommend the study hall.
Okay. Um, we have another question here. I don't know if it's related to something that like a project that you were discussing, is what is the minimum and maximum range for the temperature setting?
Okay. Yeah, so the temperature was part of the settings for the large language models in AWS Bedrock, and that was assigning the randomness. So if it's at 0, that means there's no randomness, and if it's at 1, that's maximum randomness. So the range is between 0 and 1.
Okay. Um, Another one is I didn't understand the AI component of Jira. Looks similar to just creating a ticket.
Yeah, I think there's different applications like the Mondays I showed the widgets, but there's similar dashboards and visuals that you can generate to kind of get that high level overview. And I
Okay.
think both of them also come with like an AI assistant tool now that you can utilize to ask for additional insight for areas that your project might be weakest in or other properties that you might want to track to improve progress on your project.
Mm-hmm. And what are some free options that are of some value of, like, I guess AI platforms, or I don't know. It doesn't say.
Yes. So all of the tools except PMI Infinity have a free trial option. So you can use Notion, AWS, Jira, Mondays, and Base 44. There's free trial limitations. So I think some of them are free for 2 weeks or a month. Base 44 offers 25 credits for free. But all of the tools that I showed tonight, besides PMI Infinity, have a free tier option available. So you can kind of mess around with those tools as you want or go back and kind of work through the demos that I showed.
Okay. And I think this is another question about the temperature. It says, when you adjust the temperature, does setting it at 1.0 provide better quality answers?
I guess it really depends on what you're looking for. So if you have multiple users that are going to use your application, maybe you would want them to receive the information in a more tailored manner. Whereas if you assigned it to 0, then they're all going to more or less receive the same answer no matter how they interact with the chatbot. So I
Okay.
don't want to go into the technical too much, but basically the randomness is assigned based on how the language model looks back at the previous information. So when the temperature is 0, it only looks back 1 or 2 tokens or words that it has generated to determine what comes next. Whereas if the temperature is set to 1, it's going to look further back and be more creative in terms of what else it's going to produce.
Okay. Somebody says that I was looking for an AI tool helpful for project managers to develop project plans. So I guess you answered that already, right?
Yeah, I would say you can use PMI Infinity. They have the different agents. So I showed like the the stakeholder management plan. You can also ask similar questions to ChatGPT or Copilot. That's where the prompt engineering will come into play. You might tailor your query to be specific to the PMI framework, or as a project manager, what are some project deliverables? What are some templates that I can use to create different project deliverables? You can kind of do the same query or prompt in other chatbots, whether it's Infinity or ChatGPT.
Okay. And what is the default for the temperature setting?
I don't think there is really a default. I think in AWS, when I opened DeepSeek, the default was set to 1. And when I opened Llama, it was already set to 0.6.
Mm.
I don't know what chatbots like Copilot or Chat GPT use automatically. But if you are like a developer, that's a way to kind of have more control over the output. But I don't think
Okay.
there's really a set default. It's kind of up to you.
Okay. What is the usage of Monday.com and AI?
Yeah, so I think Mondays.com is able to integrate your whole team together. You're able to work on different dashboards remotely and share information seamlessly. So you can, as I showed, there's different widgets available to kind of gauge the project's progress at a high level. You can also use an AI assistant to maybe track down certain roadblocks. You can keep track of the timeline better. You can see how long certain tasks or user stories have been stalled, or how many tasks different users are working on different activities. So it can kind of customize that information based on what prompt you might be providing. So it's more that it's going to do the job for you and make things more seamless and available, and maybe even identify potential issues along the way.
Okay. Somebody is asking, how do I register for the study group in February on Thursdays? Is it one of the QR codes on the screen right now?
Yes. So if you scan the QR code on the right, the red one, and click on events or the calendar, you'll come across a list of activities that PMI Chicagoland has organized, and the PMP study group is one of those activities that you can sign up for.
Okay. Maybe you can send me that link and I will share it in the email when I share the presentation and the link to the video. So it's easier for them. There's another question here about, was Base 44 used for creating apps? If so, what is the underlying program?
Yeah, I don't know too much about the back end of Base 44. Um, so there were some apps that I showed. I don't know if my audio was working, but you can develop different trackers. You can develop different um, basic games or study materials by giving it the prompt, and it will generate the app for you. I think I was mainly just showing it as an example of the power and use of AI, how easy it is that there is this sort of feature available with Base 44, that there's a no code option, that you don't need to be a programmer to even make an application anymore, that there's AI out there that basically can take your prompt or query and put together an entire app for you.
Wow. Um,
And
what
that's
you,
one of the tools that had a free tier. So if you're
oh,
interested
really?
to kind of see how it works, you can sign up and it gives you like 25 credits. So you can kind of ask it to create an app for you, and you can use it until you run out of credits, and then you have to pay to continue to use it. But it's just kind of a fun add-on that I wanted to show.
Okay. What use case do you find most useful as a PM in your own work?
In terms of which tool, or
That was the question. I don't know. That
oh,
was the
okay.
whole thing.
Yeah, I really liked using PMI Infinity.
Hmm.
I think because it's trained on a lot of project management documentation, um, I'm able to kind of get simple templates or build on ideas that I might have and get um, expertise and feedback that I know is highly credible. It also then provides other suggestions that maybe were outside of the scope of what I was originally asking for. So it's a good way to kind of continue to learn other skills and tools. So I really liked using PMI Infinity for that reason.
Okay. And how do you preserve privacy while optimizing these various AI tools?
Yeah, so I think a lot of these AI tools, if they're going to be used within your business, would need to be uh, purchased through a license. And with that, you have your own in house application that you can then synchronize with your other business tools and make sure that it's within certain compliance standards that your industry or business might need to follow.
Hmm. Yeah. And have you come across a scenario where AI hallucinates? I bet you did.
Hmm. Um,
No?
I probably have, but I think there have been cases where I've asked for information and it would provide me a link as a source. And if I click on the link, the website is void or there's no information there. So it has sort of made up sources.
Yeah,
So I think that's an example of a hallucination.
hallucination, yeah. Well, were all the questions, Michael. As I said, I will make sure to send out the video recording and I will send the presentation maybe in a PDF format like we did last time. Um, and we'll have to, I don't know, do something about the links that like for all the tools that you gave examples of. And probably if anybody has questions, they can contact you, right? That will be okay. At your email
Yep,
address that you provided. Okay.
yep,
Well, thank you
that's great.
again, Michael, and thank you everybody for being here tonight. I hope this program was helpful. Please send us questions and we'll make sure to answer them, okay? And have a good evening. Bye, Michael. Bye, everybody.
Bye. Thank you guys.